First, you would check under your bus. There are no hanging wires or puddles, which would indicate a leak. This is my fuse box. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. If the company allows, I will keep 3 extra fuses in my glove box. This is my oil stick. To check it, I will pull it out, wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it out again. It should read between add and full. Over here is my air compressor. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks, and it is gear driven. This is my power steering fluid. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. It should read between add and full. This is your dipstick used to check. This hose leads from my power steering fluid to my steering box. It is not cut, torn, or frayed. It is securely mounted by its clamps and bushings, and it has no leaks. This is my steering box. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. This hose leads from my steering box to my power steering pump. The hose is not cut, torn, or frayed. It is securely mounted with no leaks. Under here is my power steering pump. It is not clearly visible, but it is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks, and it is gear driven. This is my shock absorber. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. If it were to leak, you would see it right here in the joints. These are my spring mounts. I have one here, one back there. These are my springs. That's my U-bolts. They're not cracked into or broken. They are securely mounted. The springs are not shifted or missing. This is my 3-arm steering linkage. 1, 2, 3 parts. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. All nuts, bolts, and cotter pins are in place. This is my air brake line. It is not cut, torn, or frayed. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. It supplies air to the brake chamber. Here's my brake chamber. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. This is my slack adjuster and push rod. If I were to pull on it, I should get no more than 1 inch of play. It is securely mounted. If it has 1 or 2 pins, it can have 1 or 2 pins. 2 pins means that it is self-adjusting. Inside of my tire here is my brake drum and brake lining. The drum is not worn dangerously thin. The drum is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted, and the lining is not worn dangerously thin, free of oil and debris. This is my tire. It is evenly worn. There are no cuts or bulges on either side. The front tire should have no more than 432 of tread depth. This is my rim and rim lip. The lip does not have any signs of rust, which would indicate that the tire is not seated properly. My rim is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted, and it cannot be welded. These are my lug nuts. You would touch each one. They're not cracked into or broken. They're securely mounted. There are no signs of rust or shining silver, which will indicate they are too tight or too loose. This is my hub oil seal. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. If it were to leak, you would see it right here in the joint. This is my air valve stem. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. The cap is intact. If I needed to check my tire pressure, I would use a commercial gauge, and I would find the PSI right here on my tire wall. All of my remaining hoses and wires are not cut, torn, or frayed. They are securely mounted. They have no leaks, and everything that applies to this side applies to the other side with a few exceptions. Over here, you only have 5 exceptions. Your coolant reservoir is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. It should read between add and full. Your exhaust, it runs from turbo to tail. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. There are no signs of rust or carbon soot, and it doesn't sound excessively loud when the bus is running. This is my alternator. It is not cracked into or broken. It is securely mounted, and it is belt driven. This is my alternator belt. If I were to pull on it, I should get no more than 3/4 inch of play. It is not cut, torn, or frayed. Over here in this area is your water pump. It is not clearly visible. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks, and it is gear driven. All of my remaining hoses and wires are not cut, torn, or frayed. They're securely mounted, and they have no leaks. These are my doors. They open and close properly from the outside. My doors, my windows, and my hinge are not cracked, dented, or broken. They are securely mounted. They have no leaks. The door seals. They are not cut, torn, or frayed. They are securely mounted. They have no leaks. These are my handrails. They're not cracked, dented, or broken. They are securely mounted. This is my stairwell. It is not worn dangerously thin, and it is free of debris. This is my stairwell light. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted and clear and of proper color. Here I have my 9-piece body fluid kit, my 21-piece first aid kit. My ABC rated fire extinguisher is fully charged. The pin is intact. Over here behind my seat, I have my 3 red reflective triangles. Everything is here and present to the best of my knowledge. Sometimes you'll get on the buses and your emergency equipment is right here. Most times it's right here. If you don't see it here, it's usually located up here, and it'll have emergency equipment written out right there. Sometimes you get your triangles or under here. You just have to search the bus to see where your emergency things are located before taking off. All right, when you get on, make sure you press normal so you can close your door. All right, this is my seat belt. It is not cut, torn, or frayed, and it latches to me properly. This is my horn. It is operational. Now I'm gonna get ready to safely start my bus. I make sure that my bus is in neutral. My parking brake is pulled. I'll cut my bus to the run position. Wait for my leaders to stabilize. Now I can safely start my bus. Okay, now I'm getting ready to perform my parking brake and surface brake test. To perform my parking brake test, I'll simply put my foot on my surface brake, put my bus in drive, take my foot off the surface brake, give it a little gas. My bus didn't move, therefore my parking brake works. To check my surface brake, my bus is already in drive. I'll release my parking brake, drive forward at 5 miles per hour, easing down on the brake. When I stop, my bus did not shift from left to right, therefore my surface brake works. Now I'm getting ready to prepare for my 3-way air brake test. To do that, I'll put my bus in neutral. Do not pull your parking brake. Leave it in. Do not pull your parking brake. Cut your bus off. Back to the run position. I'll take my foot off my brake. Look down at the ground, making sure my bus isn't moving. Once your bus isn't moving, that means it's found level ground, and you're ready to perform your 3-way air brake test. For your 3-way air brake test, you're checking for 3 things. You're checking for leaks in your lines, warning lights and buzzers, and your pop-out valve. To check for leaks in your lines, you will turn around and ask your tester, "Tester, can you time me for 1 minute to make sure that I do not lose more than 3 PSI within that minute?" At that point, she'll tell you to go ahead. You'll put your foot on your service brake. Pay attention to this gauge. As long as your gauges are moving, you're not losing air. Once she tells you to stop, you'll stop. And you'll let her know that you didn't lose more than 3 psi within that minute. Now you're gonna fan your brakes until you get to 60 psi, and your warning lights and buzzers will pop on. Then you'll continue to fan your brakes until you get to about 40 to 20 psi, and your valve here should pop out. So I'm gonna start fanning my brakes. Warning lights and buzzers. At 40 to 20 psi, your pop-out valve should pop out. Alright, once that valve has popped out, you'll start the bus back. Wait for your air pressure to build back up to 120. Once your air pressure has been, while you're waiting for your air pressure to build back up to 120, you'll talk about your windshield. This is my windshield. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted. It is clean. I can see through it, and there are no illegal stickers. My windshield wipers, they're not cracked, dented, or broken. The blades aren't cut, torn, or frayed. They're securely mounted. You will push in on your fluid. My windshield wiper fluid is operational. Alright, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mirrors, with 7 being my student overhead mirror. It is adjusted to my needs and I can see through it. I have my heaters, blowers, and defrosters. You will cut everything on. I can hear them and I can feel them. Cut it back off. My gauges. My oil gauge should read between 20 and 60. My water gauge should read 180, not to exceed 210. My voltage should read between 12 and 14, and it is digital. Lastly, I have my high beams, my low beams, 4-way flashers, right signal, left signal, student ambers, and student red. When I cut my student reds on, my dome lights come on, and my stairwell light come on, and my door opens properly from the inside. At this point, you will ask your tester, can you go outside to the front of the bus to make sure that my high beams and low beams come on, my 4-way flashers, my right and left signal, my student ambers and student reds, and my clearance lights come on. Then I need you to walk to the back of the bus, make sure that all my remaining clearance lights, my brake and tail lights, my 4-way flashers, my left and right signal, my student ambers and reds, and my strobe light come on. Okay, at that point she'll get off the bus, she'll go to the front of the bus, signal you which lights to cut on, you'll cut each one on and cut it back off. Once you finish there, she'll go to the back and you'll repeat the same thing. Make sure when she leaves off the bus, you close your door. So when you do your student ambers and reds at the front, they'll come on. And when she walks to the back, you'll close your door again. So when you do your student ambers and reds, they'll come on. I usually do my student ambers and reds last after I do all the lights. At the back, when you do your student ambers and reds, leave the door open. She'll come back on the bus. Once she's on the bus, she'll close your door. At that point, you'll cut your bus off to ACC, because now you have to do your child check.
Conduct your child search now.
Okay, you'll stand up, get out of your seat. This is my driver's seat. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. The seats aren't cut, torn, or frayed, and it is securely mounted. You'll touch each seat. These are my student seats. They're not cracked, dented, or broken. The seats aren't cut, torn, or frayed. They're securely mounted. Do your child check. This is my emergency door. When open from the inside, the warning buzzers will sound. These are my emergency windows. I have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to open them. I will push up on my window, pull up on the red latch, and push out. They're securely mounted. I have 1, 2 emergency hatches. To open them, you will simply turn and push up. They're securely mounted. Okay. Now you will open your door, turn your bus off, take your key with you. Make sure you press emergency here when you're getting off. Alright. At the top of my bus, I have 3 clearance lights. 2 of them are amber. 1 is red. I have 2 4-way flashers and turn signals. Both amber in color. I have an amber color reflector light and a red reflector light. All of my lights are not cracked in or broken. They are securely mounted and of proper color. I have emergency tape, reflective tape around my emergency windows. It is not cut, torn, or missing. Again, reflective tape around my emergency windows. It is not cut, torn, or missing. This is my diesel cover and cap. They're securely mounted. The cap is intact. Under here is my diesel tank. It is not cracked in or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. Everything that applies to this side applies to the other side with a few exceptions. You come to the back. I have 3 red clearance lights. I have 2 red student lights, 2 amber student lights. I have left and right amber colored 4-way flashes and turn signals. I have 2 red brake and tail lights. I have 2 red reflective lights. All of my lights are not cracked in or broken. They are securely mounted and of proper color. My emergency door opens properly from the outside. My door, my windows, and my hinge are not cracked in or broken. They are securely mounted. They have no leaks. My door seal is not cut, torn, or frayed. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. I have reflective tape around my emergency door. Okay. The exceptions on this side is your stop arms. My rear stop arm, it displays stop on the inside only. It is not cracked in or broken. It is securely mounted. The 2 red reflector lights are not cracked in or broken. They are securely mounted and of proper color. My wires are not cut, torn, or frayed. They are securely mounted. They have no leaks. The front stop arm displays stop on the inside and outside. It is not cracked in or broken. It is securely mounted. The 2 red reflector lights are not cracked in or broken. They are securely mounted and of proper color. The wires are not cut, torn, or frayed. They are securely mounted. They have no leaks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mirrors. They are securely mounted. They are not cracked in or broken. This is my crossing arm. When the bus is in operation, it extends fully. I have 3 amber color clearance lights. I have 2 red student lights, 2 amber student lights. I have a left and a right turn signal and four-way flasher. I have a left and a right, this is your left and right turn signal and four-way flasher. This is your left and right high and low beam. You have a left and a right reflector light. These are also four-way flashers and turn signals. All of my lights are not cracked, dented, or broken. They are securely mounted and of proper color. Alright, that's part. Sit down. Easiest way to do it. Sit down. You know, that's it. Alright. Up here are my floors. They're not cracked, dented, or broken. They're securely mounted. They have no leaks. These are your cross members. They're not cracked, dented, or broken. They're securely mounted. This is your frame. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted and it cannot be welded. This is your exhaust. Remember, from the front it runs from turbo to tail. It's not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted. On this side here, you have your drive shaft. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. It cannot be twisted, and it is held up by its U-bolt. Okay, these parts are pretty much parts that are at the front, but they may look a little different. They may be a little bigger. Here you have your spring mounts. You have one here, one back there. You have your springs. You also have your U-bolts. If equipped, on your bus you would have with this a Turk bar. They're not cracked, dented, or broken, securely mounted, no leaks. Here's your air brake line. It is not cut, torn, or frayed, securely mounted, no leaks. It supplies air to the brake chamber. The brake chamber is not cracked, dented, or broken, securely mounted, no leaks. At the back of your brake chamber, remember on the front it's at the front, but at the back is on the back side. This is your slack adjuster and push rod. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted. If you were to pull on it, you should get no more than 1 inch of play. Right back there, you can see your shock absorber. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted. It has no leaks. If it were to leak, you would see it right there in the joint. Also, if equipped, this bus does not have it, but there would be an airbag that sits right on side of your slack adjuster. Your airbag would not be cut, torn, or frayed, securely mounted with no leaks. The mount that holds the airbag in place would not be cracked, dented, or broken, securely mounted with no leaks. Again, inside of the tire here is your brake drum and brake lining. The drum is not cracked, dented, or broken, securely mounted. The lining is not worn dangerously thin and is free of oil and debris. Inside of this tire, these two tires here, that is known as your bud rim. There are no spaces in between. There are no foreign objects wrapped around it. It is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted and it cannot be welded. Alright. Then you'll come out. You have your two tires at the back. They are evenly worn. There are no cuts or bulges on either side. Your back tire should have no more than 232 of tread depth. You have one valve stem on this tire and another on that tire. They're not cracked, dented, or broken. They're securely mounted. The caps are intact. You have your lug nuts. They are not cracked, dented, or broken, securely mounted. No signs of rust or shining silver, which will indicate they're too tight or too loose. Your rim lip, no signs of rust, which will indicate that the tire is not seated properly. Your rim, not cracked, dented, or broken, securely mounted, cannot be welded. Your back has a rear axle seal instead of a hub all seal. The rear axle seal is not cracked, dented, or broken. It is securely mounted with no leaks. If it were to leak, you would have oil sitting right down in there. This is just water from them washing it. So if the hub axle seal, rear axle seal was leaking, it would have oil sitting down in there. Also, you would use a commercial gauge to check your tire pressure. You will find the PSI there on the tire wall. And these are your mud flaps. They are not cut, torn, or missing.